Hello, storytellers. I'm just throwing out a bunch of videos here. Everything's changing in the RPG world, right? With Dungeons & Dragons now being hated and everyone realizing we got to create our own role-playing games. So I've been working on this for a while now, and I've already left Dungeons & Dragons last summer because of their wokeness, and that wokeness led to their greed and desire for, big profits. And then that's typical of anything, really, when you don't have a good foundational morality or ethics or whatever. So this, I'm going to go over what, as a Christian, how do you make a Christian role-playing game where you really play a Christian or a missionary? And in some of these settings, you don't necessarily have to be a missionary. You could just be a Christian and just play like a crazy game. But for this one, you really are set out to be a missionary, right? You're a knight, you're a cleric, you're a nun, you're a patron lady who the church in Milan and Rome, it says, go out now to the north and plant churches. And that's the main thing of this. And it's still like Dungeons & Dragons. It's still fun. It's still adventure. You're still encountering monsters. You're still encountering, you're looking for treasure because you want to plant churches. And when you do plant a church, you get those glory points. And that's kind of the treasure here is the glory points. Okay. So I'm going to go over the section here on the Grand Minister's Guide, like where, what do you do? How do I do this? How do I set up, as a dad playing with your kids, a husband, dad playing with your family or friends, youth pastor. I really hope I'm going to try to, find and get some pastors I know to send this out to youth pastors to play with their, the kids in their groups. So this is the Grand Minister's Guide, and as you can see, there's a white spot here. I took that out just now because I'm still working on it. I literally took it just now before I started the video. But there was I had a little bit here on doing a panic or stress or sanity section, and I just added that in recently too because Cthulhu and Alien RPG. I've been getting into Alien RPG before I started finishing up this Kickstarter and going for it. But that's I love their little simple panic thing. And I had it in here. And then I'm thinking about it just now. And I'm like, this is not the game for that yet, right? I do have a more crazier, darker one later on. But for this one, it's meant to be more PG-13 and fun. And so I don't think we need to be worrying about a panic roll or stress or sanity. Because, hey, even us Christians can go crazy. But crazy in the sense that we still have the power of prayer. We still have fellowship. We still have the church. We still have our strength and our faith in Christ, but still it's fun to have like a fun, element of increasing the fear and scariness that in the game. And there is fear in the game. A Christian can become, paralyzed with fear because they see something horrifying. But we do have the Holy Spirit. We do have the strength in that. So we have a better resistance and we don't get possessed where there is possession in this game, demonic possession. But we Christians in our faith will never get possessed. So that's a kind of I feel like an element in the, I read it even in the books that don't mention it, but still there's something in there about, we don't use, we're just strong in our faith that we don't need to throw up a bunch of material components. That's another thing I noticed. And this is not D&D, just in the history books. The pagan magicians always had a flamboyancy, a craftsmanship, a artisan detail to their rituals and magic that they used in the courts and on kings or whatever, and then villages. And the Christians back then never did. They just used the power of their faith and never did any rituals or sacrifices or anything like that. That's interesting. And plays out here too. Okay, so this white spot I gotta figure out and rearrange some things, and but let me go over like how do I GM a Christian missionary game that still is a like a fantasy Dungeons & Dragons type feel to it. So I basically set up the basic premise. You basically go, as a GM, what do you do to set up a mission or game for them or adventure? You set up a village or settlement. You set up some background characters, obviously. You have a few villains. And let me just go through the chart here. You're going to prep like a sorcerer or witch. And by the way, creating a sorcerer or witch or magician in this game is very simple. Like you don't have to go rummage through a bunch of spell lists or anything. There's some suggestions here, but you can make up your own right on the spot. This person does a poison cloud, resistance they got to roll a 12, 14, and the poison cloud will do maybe D8 of them. I'll roll blast D8 or in the short area. And then if they get affected, they're at minus D4 until they get out of there because it's all poisonous. I mean, you can just do your own simple little, think about what this witch in their lair would have if they're brewing concoctions to create feral, demonic possessed, say, wolves, right? They're making them more rabid with their little witch's concoction. Then that's what they're going to have in their lair. They're going to have little poison that they can throw out, poison on their dagger, poison to get away. And you're going to give them a couple of those little actions that they can do. And that's it. That's scary because you're only going to get three or four turns, with them doing that. And after that, they get all and cower in their corner, as the Christians are like, rebuking them and, taking out their minions and their guards and their feral wolves. It's very simple, like how you could just set up scary, witches and sorcerers in this game. You don't have to create a whole library of character sheet to figure it out. All right, so let me just go over this. I gave you here's a name chart, so you can just create a name. And I took these based off of all the history books I was reading and how crazy they were. I think I should probably actually split them into Latin and Germanic, but whatever. It's fun. Watch, I'm going to roll right now, and I'll go with the first chart. There's two charts here. All right. 17 is the first one. Ath. 19, Ment. And a 4. Athmentus. Okay, there's your name. And now if you're doing like a simple person, you could just roll, let's say the second chart. Number 7, Ag. You mean Ag. Or a little, maybe a little more of a villager or a leader type. 9. I'll do the one from the first chart and one from the second. So 19 is Fru, and then the second part of the name is 19. Dos. Frudos. You meet Frudos. So these are all so there's your names. So additional adventure ideas. This is just extra stuff that you can add either as they're traveling or part of just the flavor of whatever. I just added this in there just for the fun of it. Little extra things that you can do. Pirates, raiders, vicious tribe of barbarians nearby. You can just throw these in there. There's a local plague that has made all the rats rabid, zombie rats. I just throw that in there. I don't know why I threw it in there, but I'm leaving it there just for the fun of it. Okay, church activity. Let me move to church activity. So I just did a basic understanding of the church back then in 6th century. Because it was, I'm not going to worry about the details of the church and this is pre-Catholic, but I feel like back then it was very open-ended. Like it was still forming, right? Monasteries are maybe just starting. So everything was in flux. And so I just giving a little, and like, there's some popes here, and some of these, there's not even any information on them. That's, some of it's missing. So that's just keeping it open, simple, so that you can just kind of go with it as you want. And when I start the game with them in the, say, there's not even cathedrals yet in the church, and most of the churches too are like, say, they've taken over the Greek bathhouses or Roman bathhouses and other sort of luxuriant pagan buildings and temples that were, that's what they've taken over to use as churches or people's homes. And so they're just gonna. When I start the games, you see in the little shows, you're literally just talking to the bishop, and then they just tell you to go off and do your mission. They have a mission: go here, go there, and find out. And basically, all missions are go there, find out what's going on, find any pagan activity that's controlling the people, eradicate it or convert it or expose it. Then once that's done, you can then go to the people and preach and convert or save them, rescue them from what's the tyranny that's been happening, and then hopefully too you'll find like the location or layer of the source of this evil, and then get the treasures, and then that goes to building the church, financing it, and you get a little role-playing story of all that building. And it's really kind of like a nice, wonderful ending, and everyone's working hard to make the church, and then you get your glory points. And I'll explain, and I'll go a little more detail about that basically. So that's the church page, just giving basic information. And then this page is village activity. Just so all the gear, this is literally all the gear that characters can pick from. The Beast of Burden is basically for the patron lady, not because that's her power. The patron lady is the one who has all the wealth, and then she can have all the gear she wants. So she doesn't have to deal with gear and burden because she has a cart or a donkey or whatever. And so that's kind of fun. She gets to do that. And she's a social person. Because, the warrior gets to be a warrior and paladin, either full-on warrior or warrior paladin. The cleric can be a warrior cleric, or they can be a cleric, and they're all, doing stuff. And then the nun, she's more of the healer and supportive role, and caretaker and caring of them. She has the pan, so she could help defend and protect, if in desperate situations, and defend herself. She also, but here's one thing about the nun that she has in one of her blessings. She has, I see an angel. I'm giving it up now. It's a cool little blessing where she sees an angel, and it's something that she has to commit to when she does it. And the 3 times that we've done it in the game has been awesome in the playtest. But the nun, So the women, they don't get to, I don't want them wielding battle axes. They're not charging in with battle axes. I want them to play a woman like a woman. I don't want women to play women like men. That's not equality. I want to just do exactly what men do. That's not equality. I want the women in this to play women and find their strengths and their weaknesses and play them. I had a young teenage girl play this with her brother and some other teenagers. And it was cool to see her say, you guys go up. I'll stay back here. She had the crossbow, but it was just cool to see that she got it. She was fine with that. She was fine with the guy and their brother's like, I'll go and I'll protect, That's how we should be doing this. And she's going to take care of them afterwards and see, about their healing and all that and comforts and care. As the men sit around going, oh, anyway, and I loved it. Anyway, so the nun has, I see an angel, and she can see an angel. And what that is she faints and she's out. She's out, completely out. So whatever, and hopefully she's got to realize that whatever faith points she has left, that's what she can use for the angel. And that's for duration. That's for how powerful his sword is, his holy sword, duration, attack, and damage. So she can put all her faith points into those 3 things, and then use them to and fight any sort of demonic activity that's within their little combat situation. And it's been cool. It's been really cool. Oh man, when that angel rolls a nat 20, everyone's like, yeah, and whoo, and of course, and she plays the angel. So that's I like that the nun has that little neat twist, and it's historically accurate. I mean, there's people that have, everyone's witnessed angels doing something or accomplishing something. A lot of Christian people have. So not me, unfortunately. They won't come and help me, but oh well. So these are the items, and gear is I just kind of for this page for village activity, I just put down kind of the basic, who does what and what could be in the town or village. Small village, larger town, merchant trade, basically what you could find in those areas. And those are role played, but at least gives you an understanding of or basics of what you might want to include. And this is just to help guide you through creating a role playing situation in towns that they might come to. Now, obviously you want to make little settlements that they encounter, and that would probably be the small villages is the main thing. So you want to add that, and then give them a little flavor with some of these that are available. And each of these things, by the way, is a useful in the adventure if they use them. I've had a patron lady use her perfume like a smoke bomb. It worked. I mean, half worked and half not, but it was fun either way. But and that's for charming. Perfume and charm, by the way, is not. She used it for like a smoke bomb, but you can use it for a social situation if you're going to deal with a leader or something. She can. I'm gonna pretty myself up and okay, this will give you a bonus to your society roll and stuff. So everything in here is kind of meant to be a little bonus, and they can come up with their own gear too. And the way I use the economics of it is if you have a patron lady, pretty much everything is available, but we role play it, and is it even available in that village or settlement? So there's that. I can go into more later. But anyway, let me go on to the next thing. So this here is another sort of what is the village or settlement focused on? Like bandit, the lower levels are for smaller settlements, and the higher is for more city. But it's just a guide. It's just a way for you to kind of add a little flavor to whatever area you're setting up in there that they come into. Mining is a really big one, lumber and milling. So you roll that one and say, okay, this village they got mines, and that's what they're working on, and scary stuff could be happening there. Okay. And these are little modular set pieces that you can throw down, cut out on paper, print them, and set them on the table. So that's how I provide the miniature setup for you, is with the little modular map pieces you can print out, black and white, cut it, throw it down on the table, have the kids cut it out, color it if they want. And it's modular. And I'll get into that another video. Paganism. So I wanted to give just what are pagans? What do they do? Any non-believer, in this story and in obviously in our Christian world, anyone that doesn't believe in God or in Jesus Christ and the Holy Spirit and the Trinity is a pagan. Right? So, and love the enemy. That's our rule. So if anyone wants to criticize me, love the enemy. We have that as a foundational rule to us. So I'm going to love you and treat you just as horribly as I treat my own family and Christians. I'm going to, right? We all argue and everything. So that's really the response you have to have with pagans or people that don't believe in Christ and maybe get angry at us for being Christian or our beliefs, is like, well, we have a belief that we love the enemy, so we're going to treat you equally as, that's a Christ ordered rule. We have it. It's solid. It's in our book. What do you have? Are you going to love the enemy? Are you going to love us? Or are you going to hate us? Because how are we going to get along if you have that rule or not? Where is it written? Where is it for all of your folks, all your believers of your thing? Or is it just something you can pick and choose as you wish? Think about it. It's foundational to our belief as Christians, right? So anyway, paganism. This is just me throwing a bunch of notes down of what I've read and here. So just like things that can give you ideas. And then this here is demonic activity and evil spirits. Just gives you kind of, again, like me paraphrasing what I've known and what I've figured out for us as Christians to role play and mechanics. So just ideas here, background stuff to give you. Let me move on. This one here is the culture of paganism. So this basically reflects the 10 Commandments, but they're the opposite of that. What they tended to do instead, any god but God. That's kind of how the Romans treated Christians early on. You can believe in any god or pray or worship anything, but not that one. Not because we are exclusive too. So what's funny is paganism is not exclusive. Paganism, whatever you want. But we are like, well, no, there's only one. So they're any god but God. So you can worship any idol, anything. Many idols and stories. Everything can come up. So that one's important. Many idols and stories. I've been reading a bunch of stuff on paganism back in the day, and the Germans do follow the Thor and Odin or what's this follow? Yeah, Odin. They follow the sort of the Norse stuff kind of comes down from into the northern Italy, and then the Italians obviously. The Romans believed in the Greek mythology. They took on the Greek mythology stuff. So there's that mix, but you can make up anything you want. That's the basic premise of what I've been reading. They, every little dwarf, elf, giant, troll, gnome, or whatever, all of those are just basically evil spirits, evil land spirits, evil house spirits, evil water spirits, nymphs and fairies and all that. So you can kind of come up with your own fun little name or category for the evil spirits in your mission or game or what the locals are worshiping. You can use Pan. I throw out Pan there. The initial mission is the ancient horned ones. Because the pagans wear all the antlers. So you can come up with anything. So you're free to come up with the wolf clan, the bear pagans, I obviously relate it to creatures as much as I can, because that's kind of what pagans did. They looked around at creatures and then turned them into gods and worshipped them and created their own evil spirits. So that's to me where werewolves come from, wereboars or boars or bears. I'm going to use including here a couple of what they call prehistoric beasts, like those large, sort of gigantic looking creatures that are similar to bears and tigers and giant lizards that are dragons and velociraptors and all that. So that's all included in here as far as you can create those dragons in those periods. And we do have dragon accounts in that period and even from Marco Polo and the Romans and others and the Chinese. There's plenty of dragon dinosaur witness accounts. And sadly, that's another aspect of evolution I really kind of ticked off at, is that they ignore all these dragon dinosaur accounts in medieval history because they don't want you to think that there's dragons or dinosaurs back then. And yet we have so many depictions of them in South America, Native America, Europe, Asia. So it's just it's kind of a bummer to me that the scientific community hides, brushes, throws that aside, and we're missing an incredible amount of just fun, cool archaeology or whatever it's called, finding this stuff and bringing it to the forefront. Anyway, so this is for you as a GM to just sort of get what the nature of paganism generally is. And you can for role playing and for how the community is when they come into it, when the missionaries come into it. Pagan hex crawl. I don't have a hex for this, like a hex map. I kind of just play, like a hex, like witches hex or whatever. But whatever. I just kind of doing something silly here. In my post-apocalyptic, I have a hex map for you that the players can go which side they want, and then you roll out and create kind of what's going to be in the next hex, like 30-mile area. Anyway, do that later. Okay, so here, this is like a guide for you as a GM to prep and set up something that they got to go up against. And I kind of rolled this, I think, or used it for my first adventure too. Or once I made this, then I could easily come up with something. So this is the basic. What are the pagans doing in this area? Roll this. Now you can roll a D4 because they're beginning players, or you can roll up to a D12, and 12 is demonic. But the first 4 are like local criminal con charlatans or cons. Runs and owns and trinket offerings to local spirits at statues or in groves. So whatever this pagan group is, they just kind of get all the locals to, give up their wealth at little groves or statues. And everyone thinks that that's what you got to do. And so the Christians got to come in and convince everyone that you don't have to do that. And there's probably a person running that, right? There's probably a merchant running that, like a merchant that comes through and picks everything up and goes off. And if you're going to stop him from allowing to do that, then he's going to get violent on you. He's going to get his goons on you. See, that's the basic premise of the game. That kind of a thing. They got to discover what's going on, figure out, who's whatever. And then, so let's just stick with that premise. There's a merchant who's got local priests or whatever, teaching them to go sacrifice at these places so that they can get better, whatever material gain they want out of it. They got to go give material things to these little groves or statues. So then you can also write the pagan motive in that. What is the merchant's motive? Good intentions. He really means to, that this, he believes in it. So that's, and then he takes the stuff and profits off of it. Just desperate, might do more. So, seeks riches through manipulation. That's probably what the merchant is really doing. Finding riches seeks influence. So he's getting all this and he's going to start building his little mayor control of the area. So, and you can get darker and darker until you get to number 8, which is demonic power. Here's for number 8. Finding demonic power, realizes own damnation and are obsessed with tyranny and deception even unto themselves. Okay? So, maybe someone like that. I don't know. But anyway, so that's kind of the level that you can roll, like with a D4 or D6 or D8, to see how dark the pagan thing is in there. Are they convertible? There's our chance to, get them to break down and confess and convert, or are they just so far gone that they're not, they are never were savable. Okay, so that's part of this element too. Part of the game too is some are savable, some are definitely never will be savable, right? Calvinist. Anyway, modus operandi. So you can give them In what way do they manipulate the people? Lust, and I'm not going to say lust in the sense of R rated, but that's definitely part of paganism. But it's more just, like the beauty and the, that kind of lust. Like, they're doing it in that sort of beauty way. Pageantry, beautiful idols and pomp and stuff. Or are they manipulative? Are they vengeance? Do they get you to be vengeful? Pure malice, tyranny. So are they oppressing everybody? So that's, and again, these are guides for you as a GM to set up your little village, your little fort, your little, whatever they're coming into to see what is amiss and what they can do to help the Christians. Local disposition, another thing to help you. Roll a D8. Are they, and this could be probably for people they encounter specifically, like people on the road, people in the village, the blacksmith, whatever. They could be violent evil that they really hate, very, bad, or they could be all the way to Christian that they want to help. They're secretly Christian, they want to help you. So you can use this as another guide to figuring out what the NPCs are like. So conversion is just me just telling you, we can only convert those who want to be converted, or, God will let us convert, blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah being holy, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Pagan activity examples. I just throw out some examples of what you could be doing with each of these little activity lists. Okay. So location or source. So this is for you to like, well, where are they established? Where are they where's their hideout? Or are they just in the city? Or are they got their own little encampment? You can roll this and decide, as a guide. I just threw in this, I'm going to keep drinking my coffee. I just threw in this tomb or layer traps just to give you a basic, like, how the traps will work in there. And, it's just, all it is, so the TR is the DC difficulty challenge. Yeah. The TR is trial rating. So the TR 12 is, awareness or intelligence to search around or see it, or awareness. If you have an awareness 3, then you just will notice the and you can change these numbers. TR 12 aggression to avoid. Aggression is your dexterity, your strength, how you use your physicality. TR 12 secrecy to disarm, because secrecy is the thieving guiding thing where you are into this kind of stuff. And in my sci-fi, the secrecy turns into technology as the attribute. But anyway, TR 12 intelligence is to understand and give bonus to other rolls. And then if aggression fails, you get as in if you fail to get over the trap or disarm it or whatever, condition, immobile, and or damage. So you decide, like, is it a fall trap? Is it a collapse trap? Is it a swing trap? Whatever it is, there's just basic damage or a condition that you'll get diseased, poisoned. And a TR 12 is like kind of the save. So I'm just putting like a basic, how do traps work. Master crafted items. So not necessarily, relics are huge in what I've been reading. Maybe not early on, but they grow, right? Especially when it becomes really Catholic. Relics. But they are still there even in the early church. But I have here also master crafted items. So instead of necessarily magical, they're plus ones, they're plus, whatever. Like a holy symbol gives you an extra something there. And they can still be damaged, wear and tear, and broken, I guess. But you can have items they find that are not magical, that are, master crafted or give you an extra bonus. I especially think like if they find like Roman swords, gladiuses, and shields and spears, even like their leaders had and were buried with, or their armor. So that can be master crafted. And plus you can find and especially even barbarian kings, the old Germanic kings buried in their giant barrow mound type things. There could be master crafted items in there. Okay, so also treasures they will find usually at the finality, the final location where they defeat or come across the pagan leadership. They can get like a sack of denarii, right? A sack of gold. But instead of saying 500 gold and then they can go spend it, it just adds to their trade skill of D6 so that they can then go into town and roll their trade skill when they go up to a blacksmith or whatever and buy something. But the main reason you want to get these is to sponsor and support the church. So if you get these, you might get a D12 trade because you got a bunch of local merchant goods that are stolen. You get a D12 added to your trade, but you might want to say, well, we want to give half of that to the church. So, okay, so D12 goes down to, let's see, I don't even have this down. D4, D6, D8, D10, D12. So D4, D6, D8. So we'll just go down to D8 and then for your trade, and then the rest goes to the church. Oh, I would go to D6 because you guys are really caring and giving and want to really get that church up and running. So you guys are D6 trade, and the church then uses that rest of that to buy food, to then have a food, cook off, a barbecue, and bring in the locals. And then you can use that to go get stuff in the town. But the church itself will provide you probably with some basic stuff anyway. So that's just that kind of stuff there. And if you can see all this is this will be the last bit just to get you to understand how we set up stuff here. So this is more just me saying how creating a local mission, typical rollout of the mission, local encounters, and this is like non-combative, just things you could counter on the road or whatever, although the bandits and brigands it may be. In a settlement, just more kind of roles you can have for what you would think you would do. And so this is the map I'm using of the Italian area around Lac di Lagano, and I drew this out with yeah. Okay, what am I saying here? I think I need some more coffee. This map has all of the ideas of possible adventures that I'm going to be fleshing out later. I've only done this part right here, or about right here. This is what's going to be included in the basic PDF. And I'm working on the rest of this now, or as a supplement or whatever in the series. The shows I'm doing, they're going to be going up through this map and Christianizing the land. So yeah, we got all kinds of cool stuff in here. I'm going to zoom in a little bit just to show you. Now, if you're a player, don't look at this. Dark dwellers, cannibals. I don't know about the cannibal part, but something scary. I've just got it there for now. Yeah, in these old mines and old places, and then lycanthropes. Are they lycanthropes or werewolves? And the books I've been reading, man. They're werewolves. The Christian Catholic books I'm reading, Hammer Witches. They're werewolves. Why do they have werewolves? How can they have werewolves? It's like wow. Germanic demon temple, dire wolves, beastmen, marsh hag and beasts. Okay, so we can have adventurous Christians. And these are historically myth, I'm pushing the myth. I'm pushing the myth, the folklore into scariness and bringing it out in this game in a PG-13 style. Okay, so that's where that is. Let me fit this up here again and just real quick. So yeah, Power of Evils talks about, doing the sorcerers and then these are all the different sort of things that they can do, curses and then rituals. And I got a new name charts for these guys. Let me do that real quick. Just for the fun of it. Okay, we'll do sorcerer's name. All right, we'll do a sorcerer's name. 1, Max. Nat 1, 13. Max Real. 10. Max Rillian the sorcerer. Witch's name. 16. Pi 6. In 1. Pienma the witch, or Pienma the witch, or Pienma the witch. See, so you can make a name real quick. Okay. All right, so that's it. I just want to give you an understanding of how, as a Christian GM, Grand Minister, you can create a game. Okay, you can create a game, a setting, focused local mission that they can go on. And let me do one quick thing I just want to show you. So I'm just running through all this, but this is how you can set up the layer of like the pagans hiding out in the caves and the altar there. It's all modular, so you can print these out. Now you can create your own, whatever. And the way I do it too is, and this is the pieces right here, the modular pieces that you cut out, and then you can shape into this is the entrance, the mine. Also, if they have a lantern or a torch, you use a light source. And the way you do it is when they go in, I on the table or in my foundry, I'll drop in this piece, right? Because that's how far they see. And then the next piece as they travel along. And that's how I do my light, is just through the pieces. And that's it. And it's fun. And, and you can just see by the visuals here, like this is going to be a TR10 to ascend, climb up or fall down, kind of thing. And this is kind of hiding it. So I'll put this here, but I won't put this here unless they search around here, right? To go this way to get to these treasures. And this way is to me meant to be maybe a trap, right? So they go to here and, depending on their awareness, will they fall? Because it's meant to be, oh, look at that. Ooh, spikes. Okay. So simple stuff like that is the way, they're setting up the area. And do not use this page. Okay, whatever. This is, little forest. Little forest. You can just throw this down on paper on the table. And then these are little cutouts that fold like a teepee so that you can put those as like miniatures around this little table setup of the forest. A little pagan thing here. Okay, that's it. That's me showing you how we can, we as Christians can really do a mission-based Christian RPG in the Dark Ages. And this really, really, to me, shows how we got this down. We got this. We Christians can really show how how to play a role-playing game. Right? I mean, all the fantasy comes from Europe, from, not all, but most, right? Comes from what was created, and they cannot deny, no one can deny that Christianity is a huge part of that, a huge part. And yet that part is being taken out, and the only part left is the paganism. I know it's paganism. Yes, paganism, of course, is everywhere. That's the default anyway. But what they've done in role-playing games now, in fantasy role-playing games, is they've taken out the Christianity part and then left the paganism. And I've been being told, you can't push your ideology on us in these role-playing games. Well, Dungeons & Dragons is just paganism. It's pushing paganism on everybody. So that's what we're up against. This sort of mocking and scoffing and stuff. And I'm not, this is not to be a rant, but what I'm saying, my point is, we have something here that we're missing out on, really. We're missing out on why are we hiding this, even though it's a tough history, even though it's a Dark Ages or Middle Ages or whatever, and that we did tough things. We should never be ashamed of what we've done, good or bad, mistakes, whatever. But the Christianity is the force for good in the world. It is the force for civilization. It is the force for freedom. Loving the enemy is the most freeing thing for everybody, including pagans, if they believe that too. If you love the enemy, you and I can disagree all day and then go have a beer together afterwards and go watch a game. That's what Christianity is. It's the freedom for all of us to live our lives without tyranny, without control and power over each other all the time, right? That's really what the Sabbath is too. Take a break. You need a rest. God took a break. God needed rest. You and I need a rest from our ranting and raving and dogging each other. And we Christians need to stop, retreating from the culture in the world. We're not of the world or whatever, but we're still here. We're still in the world. So we need to be a shining light. And I want to be, you and me, we need to be a shining light. Us Christians need to be a shining light in the RPG world, that culture, that hobby, that game. Just like we've got Christians in the NFL praying out loud. We got Christians in the movies. We need Christians in the RPG world doing Christian things and showing we can be anywhere and do and excel. All right. So that's my little message to y'all. Okay. All right. Thanks for listening, and hope, follow, please comment if you can and help out, share. Maybe not this video since I go real ranty in this, but some of the other ones and the trailer, especially on the show, the YouTube trailer, just to get this going. All right. Thanks a lot. And yes, I'll do an OpenGL and all that. I don't care. Go for it. All right.